We're going to begin this hour with a big political upset in the state of Florida, drawing new attention to the Democratic Party's left wing. State legislator Angie Nixon, a Democratic socialist, won her Senate primary in a state that has shifted deeply Republican in recent years. She defeated Alex Vindman, a former national security official and well-known Trump critic. Her victory follows gains for Democratic socialists in other states. And Angie Nixon joins us now from Jacksonville. Good morning. Good to see you.
Good morning, Vlad. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks so much for joining us, and congratulations on the win. I want to jump right into it. You were outspent by more than 20 times, and prediction markets, which I thought was really interesting, prediction markets had your opponent with a 90% chance of defeating you. Now you are the nominee, and registered Republicans, they outnumber Democrats by 1.5 million in Florida. So I just want to go through a couple of issues that you've been campaigning on. You want Medicare for all and free universal child care and pre-K. How are you suggesting taxpayers pay for that?
Yeah, for sure. So thank you for that question. I have been traveling all across the state of Florida, having conversations with folks. And what is evident is that everyone wants the same things, right? To be healthy, prosperous, and safe. And a lot of folks, it crosses party lines as it relates to universal child care and Medicare for all. And how do we pay for that? Actually, Medicare for all, we're already spending the amount we would be paying for Medicare for all right now, even while folks are still paying for co-pays and deductibles and co-insurance. And when it comes to universal child care, I think it's important to note that for every $1 we spend, that puts $3 back into.
So, Representative, how would you pay for that?
Economy. Yeah. And so how I would pay for that, right? I would repeal that big BS bill, because that's what it was. It wasn't beautiful. And I would make sure that these big time billionaires and ultra wealthy millionaires pay what they owe.
All right. So so that's another issue that you've called for. You want a billionaire tax. You want a national rent freeze. Which of these policies are you prepared to tell moderate voters and perhaps even some Republicans who may be intrigued by this that this should become federal law? And again, how do you convince them that the cost will be worth it?
I mean, we have conversations with them, and it's been resonating. I want to be clear. There are Republicans and independents that cross party lines to vote for me in the primary because they're fed up with what's happening in Washington, D.C. They realize that it's broken and that people like unelected Ashley Moody and Donald Trump are working less and less and less, and meanwhile getting richer.
No, I understand that, but you really haven't articulated how you would pay for it. Let me ask you about something else here. You have faced some criticism, like other Democratic socialists. You're advocating for ending unconditional aid to the state of Israel. Florida has the third largest Jewish population in the country. What would you say to those voters who are perhaps worried about your position, given that we've seen an enormous spike in anti-Semitism in this country?
For sure. I'll let them know that I have continued to fight for the safety and well-being of all Floridians, despite their religion or whatever their ideology is. And I'm going to continue to advocate as such. And so back to your previous question, I did articulate how I would pay for it. I told you that I would make sure that we made these billionaires and ultra-wealthy millionaires pay their fair share. A budget is a moral document. It lets us know what our values are. And right now, we can see that they care more about spending $1 billion on a ballroom that many of us will never get to dance in.
Okay. I just want to get, again, your position on funding and providing material and support to the state of Israel. For example, do you believe that Hamas should be completely disarmed and removed from governing Gaza?
Yes, I do.
You do. And what do you say then to those voters in the state of Florida who say to you that they're worried about the fact that the United States would not support a key ally in the Middle East?
What I would say is the same thing I would say about every ally. We need to make sure that we are scrutinizing all military aid or all aid to them to ensure that they are doing right by their citizens or their neighboring countries.
The socialist message seems to be resonating right now. Good to see you, Angie Nixon, and congratulations, too. It seems to be resonating right now in the primary. Do you think that it will resonate in the general, when it comes to the general election? Many people are very frightened of the positions, defund the police, abolishing ICE. How do you think that's going to work when it comes to the general election?
For sure. So it's not necessarily a socialist message or a progressive message. It's not about labels. It's actually just about the needs of people. And people want the same things, as I stated earlier, to be healthy, prosperous, and safe. And they want to make sure that people are looking out for these rights that they deserve, which are health care, which are housing, which are voting rights. And it's actually resonating, and they're supportive of them.
Have you heard from anyone in the Democratic leadership since your win?
So we've had folks that have reached out to call us, and we are going to be returning phone calls all this week.
You've campaigned with Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib, Mr. Piker. Do you want to see them on the campaign trail with you as well?
So I have not campaigned with Mr. Piker. Not sure where that information came from. I have campaigned with Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib, and so she is someone who wants the same things that I want, to make sure that government is working for people and not against it. And so I'll continue to do the same thing. But I have not campaigned with Mr. Piker at all. Not sure where that came from.
All right, my apologies. I thought that you had. My apologies about that. Would you want him to campaign with you?
I don't really know who Mr. Piker is. I've heard about him, and so
you don't know who he is?
I said I don't really know who he is personally or anything like that. I am actually focused on Florida and making sure that I'm talking to voters here to uplift their needs and their concerns. And so that's what my focus is going to be over the next 76 days.
How do you think you pulled this off, Angie Nixon? You know, the money, you were outspent by the money. Your opponent seemed to have more appeal, allegedly, when this campaign first started. The poll numbers were not in your favor in the beginning. How do you think you pulled it off? I know you said people want to change. I hear you. But what do you think happened?
Yeah, for sure. So I worked hard, but I was a former single mom for 12 years. So I know how to make a dollar stretch. And I want to be clear. We knew we were going to win. I am a former union organizer, and I'm a current community organizer. And we work hard, and we go and speak to everyone. And that's what the difference was between me and Mr. Vindman. And that's going to be the difference between me and Ashley Moody, because she doesn't like to show up to speak to constituents.
Representative, really quickly before you go, you're a Democratic socialist running in a statewide race with a large population of people who have fled governments that call themselves socialists. How do you convince those voters when they hear socialists that they may see that as disqualifying?
Yeah, for sure. So I want to be clear. I just recently became a member of the Democratic Socialists. I've also just recently become a member of the Working Families Party. And I let people know that nothing's changed about me. I am someone who's going to stand up for them, to make sure that I listen to them and continue to fight for them and what their needs are.
All right. Representative Angie Nixon, congratulations again on the win. We'll be tracking you. Thank you very much for appearing.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.